the prosperity gospel is a serious error. It's an egregious error. It's the kind of error that if you follow it, it could lead you into other errors. It could lead you into heresy itself. I don't think it is a heresy in the sense that it's not denying anything about who Jesus is or what the gospel is, but it is distorting the gospel in a horrendous way, and it is harming the church. Like Nigerian Christians are more obsessed about lots of them, not all of them. I get there are good Christians, obviously, in Nigeria, lots of good Christians, but lots of Nigerian Christians are obsessing about the prosperity gospel whilst Christians in the north of Nigeria are being killed. There are Christians around the world obsessing about the prosperity gospel when Christians are suffering persecution. And it's just ridiculous. Like, if you're part of a prosperity gospel church, leave or send a letter to your pastor and say, look, this isn't what being a Christian is about. Being a Christian is not about being rich. Christ actually spoke about the discipline of being poor. He advises, let's see if I can find it. Hold on. Let's see. Bear with us 1 second. So whoa. So in Luke 12, for example, in Luke 12, he tells a parable of a rich landowner. Then someone from the crowd said to him, "Teacher, tell my brother to divide the inheritance with me." But Jesus said to him, "Man, who made me a judge and arbiter between you two?" Then he said to them, "Watch out and guard yourself from all types of greed, because one's life does not consist in the abundance of his possessions." He then told them a parable. The land of a certain rich man produced an abundant crop. So he thought to himself, "What should I do? For I have nowhere to store my crops." Then he said, "I will do this. I will tear down my barns and build bigger ones, and there will be a store. There I will store all my grain and my goods. And I will say to myself, you have plenty of goods stored up for many years. Relax, eat, drink, and celebrate." For God said to him, "You fool. This very night your life will be demanded back from you. But who will get what you have prepared for yourself? So it is with the one who stores up riches for himself, but is not rich towards God." So it's this kind of, Christ speaks about the danger of riches. He says that it is easier for a camel to pass through the eye of a needle than it is for a rich man to enter the kingdom of God. And that was talking to the rich wannabe disciple. If you think that it is a sign of God's blessing upon you that you are rich, and that therefore to be rich is the way that you get God's blessing, or that you're missing out on something because you aren't rich, you're contradicting your Lord, who tells the rich to sell all that they have and give it to the poor, who says that the widow's mite was all that she had, but the rich gave out of their wealth. The prosperity gospel is the spiritualization of capitalism. It's the spiritualization of consumerism. It isn't the way of Christ. The way of Christ is to walk humbly before your God in faithfulness, to store up for yourself riches in heaven, not on earth, where worm and moth can destroy, to pursue first the kingdom of God, and then these things are added unto you. And so the prosperity gospel flows in exactly the opposite direction of the ethic of the gospel. And this is why it is an egregious error, a serious error. Leave a prosperity fellowship, but let your pastor know why you're leaving, and get yourself involved in churches that are dealing with the real world, the real issues. Don't get me wrong, I'm not saying money is evil. I'm not saying that if you are rich, that therefore, you're going to go to hell. I'm not saying that. What I am saying, though, is that the idea of equating the God's blessing to your richness is something that doesn't sit in the new covenant. The new covenant is about the virtue that builds up in your life, so that you are someone who is filled with faith and hope and joy and love and goodness and kindness and prudence and justice and fortitude and self-control. That's the gospel. That is the working of the gospel in our lives. Okay.